through this again.
It is. It's time consuming. I mean, it's fun.
March 1st, there's election for Houston County District Court Judge. Patrick Amason is seeking election. Patrick, tell the people who Patrick Amason is.
I'm a private practice attorney at the time. I've got several years of experience in private practice where I've done general practice, criminal, family law, wills and estates, and a lot of general areas of the law. And I've also been an assistant prosecutor here in Houston and Henry County for almost 7 years. So when it comes to my experience, what I've been doing practicing law is I've been around the district and circuit courts of Houston and Henry County for, over 12 years now. And, I've tried hundreds of cases in the district court. I've tried, almost 100 jury trials in circuit court. I've handled numerous types of cases in the district court on the defense side and the prosecution side. I've, from criminal, juvenile delinquency, juvenile dependency, child support, small claims, domestic violence, and I think that's one thing that kind of makes me unique in my experience that I'm bringing to the table with me is the fact that I have so much courtroom experience on the defense and the prosecution sides of the law on every kind of case that the district judge presides over.
All right, where did you go to school, and tell me about your family?
I'm a 1996 graduate of Northview High School here in Dothan. I proceeded to go to Auburn University where I got my bachelor's in agricultural business. Upon completing my bachelor's degree, I left and went to Texas Wesleyan University School of Law in Fort Worth, Texas, which has now become Texas A&M School of Law, so go SEC. I'm married to my wife, April Cosby Amason. We've been married for 12 years. And we went to college together, met in college, and been married ever since. We've got 2 young daughters, 8 and 5 years old. So we're members of Covenant United Methodist Church. We're pretty involved with the National Peanut Festival, where I serve on the board of directors. So that's about it with the family.
Why are you running for district judge? What made you decide you wanted to run?
Well, when I first started practicing law, naturally, I just wanted to get out there and start practicing, and I always knew that I wanted to, practice with, family law and criminal law, things of that nature, and I wanted to be in the court system. And I've spent my career so far, heavily involved in the court system, and I knew from an early age, once I started practicing law and I kind of found out how the dynamics of everything worked, that, one day, one of my goals, I derived was that I wanted to run for office one day, whether that be, for district attorney or judge one day, but I knew that was kind of where my ambitions were leading me. And just, the more time has passed, the more experience I've gained, to be able to qualify me and give me the experience that I would need to be a judge. It just, the timing kind of came up, the opportunity presented itself, and, after a lot of, long thought process and a lot of praying about it, the opportunity from several different people just it kept coming up that, that this is something they think I would be good at, that I'm pretty even-mannered, and I get along and I communicate with people well, and I've got a good knowledge of the law that I've, exercised as a defense lawyer and a prosecutor. And after kind of seeing that from people, that opportunity keep presenting itself, I prayed about it, and I kind of came to the conclusion, there's opportunities placed in front of you for a reason, and this is my opportunity. Win or lose, this is the opportunity that I needed to take, and it's just one step closer to me trying to obtain my, goals, my career goals. I've got a family to support as well, and it's one of those things that I just felt like the timing was right at this time to, put my name out there and, start proceeding to try and accomplish my goals.
As judge, there's not a lot of things that you can promise as far as things about cases, and there's always 50% of the people is not going to be happy with your decision because they're there for a disputed issue, oftentimes in court. But what are your plans, if elected judge, that you'd like to tell the public?
Well, and you're right, Ricky. You can't get involved in the actual facts of cases, but one thing that I think has pretty much stood out in my experience practicing law so far is I've got a pretty good work ethic. I work hard, and well, that's one thing I can promise, that I would work hard to serve the judicial system the best of my ability. in resolving these cases. You know, I want to work hard to make things efficient. And I know you're not going to make everybody happy because, like you said, they're disputed issues. But one thing that I think I would bring to the table that I would work hard on is communication. You've got to be able to communicate well with, you know, juvenile probation officers, law enforcement, school teachers, school administrators, you know, family members of the person who's, you know, in the justice system, you know, or their friends that are concerned about them in the justice system. You've got to be able to communicate well with all these people so that I could be, you know, privy to all the facts and circumstances surrounding these cases. And that's what you need. You need to have the knowledge of what everything is going on in these cases so that you can know how to apply the law accordingly to each case, because every case is different. All fact scenarios are different. But, you know, it wouldn't be very good if I just came in and made a blatant decision on a case without knowing all the facts surrounding that case. And I think that's one thing that I would bring to the table is that, you know, I like to work with other people. I like to know as much as I can possibly know about these cases, you know, before I can rule on them. I believe that, you know, you need to be efficient in your rulings. You need to, you know, hear the cases, gather as much information as you can, make a decision, and, you know, do the right thing the best you can with what you've got by the law. And not everybody's going to be happy, but they can appeal you if they don't like, you know, the answer. But, you know, you've got to be, you know, confident in the fact that you're doing the right thing under the law with the facts that you're given in court. And I believe I could do that very well.
This judge, again, is strictly for Houston County because there's a district attorney's race that's 2 counties, but only the registered voters in Houston County will vote on this district judgeship. Tell the people why they should vote for Patrick Ames.
Well, I think they should vote for me based on the fact that I've got such an extreme amount of knowledge of the court system by being involved in the court system. I have been involved in the court system since day one when I started practicing law in district court and circuit court. Like I said before, I've tried hundreds of cases. I've tried juvenile delinquency, juvenile dependency, child support. I've represented mothers, fathers, grandparents in juvenile dependency issues. I've represented, you know, juveniles that have been charged with a crime. I've prosecuted juveniles that have been charged with a crime, as well as domestic violence, burglaries, and, you know, a litany of other criminal offenses. So my whole career has been spent involved in the justice system. So, you know, you can't really get experience as a judge until you get elected judge. So the experience that you bring to the table with you is the experience that you're going to use on the bench. And I think my experience speaks for itself with my knowledge of the court system in district court and how many cases and everything that I have tried on the different sides of the law. So if I was presented a case as a district judge, I've got the unique ability from my experience where I can look at that case and I can look back on my experience on handling every different angle from all these different cases to really evaluate how these cases need to be resolved. I think that's important. I think that's something people should consider when they go and vote, that you want somebody in there that has done this before. They've been in the court. They've prosecuted the child support. They've defended the child support. They've been involved in these custody cases. They've handled domestic violence cases, that they've actually been involved in the actual court aspect of all these cases before. So when you look at that experience-wise, I think it goes a long way to show what value I can bring to the table as the district judge. I like to serve. You know, I like being in the DA's office one time there. I like helping people in, you know, general practice, but I like to serve. I like to be involved in helping the community, and I like to be involved in the justice system, and I want to work hard for the people of Houston County to be accessible, that maybe they just need some information. I want to have an open door policy. If anyone has questions or anything about the court system, how it works, or not specific cases, but just how it works in general, or what they can expect from the justice system, you know, 2 minutes of my time may be all that person needs to kind of get through this process when they're foreign to it. They don't know anything about the justice system. I want to help facilitate that and be accessible to the citizens of Houston County and aid them in any way that I can to serve our community and make it better, make it more economical, make it more efficient to everybody.
I appreciate your time, and elections March 1st, Houston County District Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you.